Hey, what's up? Ian here, and today I'm going to take a look at this EPZ Tipsy. Yeah, EPZ Tipsy. I think it's a collaboration between EPZ and Tipsy, and the name of the IEM again is a weird one. It's called Star and One. Let me just try to get a focus on this camera. There you go. Yeah, so it's Star and One for this, naming convention. It's a little bit on the odd side. The price for this is $70, and the accessories that comes with is just a simple pouch, 3 sets of ear tips, and a cable. Now, the most disappointing accessory to me is the cable. The cable is thin, is flimsy, is grippy, and it's hard to manage. But it's a cable. I mean, if this is like $30, I still can overlook it, but it's $70, and this cable is just a little bit disappointing for that price point. It terminates with a 3.5 headphone jack. It's got a Y split and chin slider, and the ear hooks. Now the ear hooks, the preform shape of the ear hooks is a little bit too aggressive. And it tends to want to tug the IEM out from my ears. So as you can see, I mean, this is going to be a pretty simple fix. What I can do is get a heat gun and then readjust the this angle to fit my ear. But let me just demonstrate. So if I were to put the IEM in my ear without the cable being hooked onto my ear, is fine. But once I hook the cable over my ear, this part here will tend to want to adjust the IEM and pull the IEM out from my ear. So yeah, I'm gonna adjust this. Either that, I'll use my own cable. Now in terms of the IEM itself, the shape of it, the design of it is actually pretty simple. All right, it's got a nice faceplate with a shell design. It's got the EPZ and Tipsy logo in front. The inner shell is resin 3D printed. It's got this very typical resin look. Okay, so in terms of durability, it's fine. It's got left and right indication. The nozzle is inserted into the shell itself. And one thing though I want to say is that the nozzle, the angle of the nozzle is a little bit odd. As you can see, it goes straight up. It doesn't, and it doesn't go at an angle. So it might be a reason why when the cable starts to tug at the IEM just falls out from my ear. So in terms of fit and comfort, comfort-wise is fine, but in terms of fit, didn't really fit my ear 100%. No. Okay, so I might have to adjust it a little bit, but in terms of comfort, it's fine. Right, so now let's talk about the sound. In terms of overall performance for this, it's actually above average. And when I used it and I compared it with my SimGod EA500, right, this is my favorite IEM, by the way. Yeah, one of my favorite IEM. It actually, in terms of technical performance, it outperforms this EA500 in terms of the overall soundstage and the detail retrieval. So it sounds crisper and more resolute as the EA500, but EA500 would sound a little bit more musical, a bit more all-rounder as compared to this Star and One. But I'll do my comparison later, right? I'm just going to give you guys my sound impression of this EPZ Tipsy Star and One. I'm just going to call this Star and One from now. So in terms of technical performance, soundstage is really spaced out. It's got good height, good overall. It sounds like a surround sound. Sound do come from the back and the front and the sides as well, and the top. And instruments are well placed out, and the separation of the instruments are very good. So I can hear instruments very well separated, and I played games. I played games on this IEM, and the soundstage on this, it's phenomenal. The details and the overall immersive sound experience with this earphone is really good. Okay, so gaming on this is fantastic. So in terms of the performance, in technical performance of this is above average, and it's well worth the price point, $70. Now, in terms of tone and timbre for this is a little bit on the fun side. It's not to the point whereby it's a bass hit type of IEM. No, it's not also for treble hits. It's pretty balanced, but I would say it's just a little bit above balance. And the overall tonality of it is a bit warm with a lot of texture. There's a lot of texture for the bass, right? In the overall sound signature is also warmish, right? But more towards balance. Now, in terms of gears, I would say this matches with warm sounding gear. I tried using it with my M15S right here, but it didn't really match the M15S because the M15S is more neutral sounding, as well, more lean sounding, I would say. So this earphone don't really match with the M15S. Gears that match with these earphones, I would say warmer sounds like the Sony's A55s, the iPods, whereby they sound a little bit rounder, but this actually sounds quite crisp. So I would say, yeah, it's a good complement, I would say. Okay, now in terms of sound signature, if you look at the graph up here, this is just a little bit in terms of the overall balance, sound balance compared to the Harman target. It's just a little bit above the Harman curve in terms of the bass. Right, so you have your bass, which is just a bit above, and this is one of the best sounding sub bass, best sounding rumble, extension of the rumble that I've heard so far. The impact of the bass is not as impactful as, for example, the EA500, which I compared to. But it's still quite immersive in terms of the mid-bass impact. The impact is actually quite fast as well. Now, the mids are recessed, as you can see from the graph up here, but it's still quite prominent. I mean, you can see that valley there is still quite deep, but in terms of clarity, it's clear, it's got good sound in terms of the overall instruments, especially together with the sound separation. Instruments are well separated, so you can hear the clarity of the instruments. Vocals, they sound pretty good on this. Male vocals, they sound alright. Female vocals, they sound a little bit better. And overall, vocals, they sound pretty balanced, I would say. The texture is there, especially with the bass, the support of the bass. Male vocals, they've got good foundation to their presence in the overall mix. And instruments, they don't have that too much of a bass heavy type of a presence, so they sound clear. They've got that details there as well, so it's pretty good. Now, in terms of treble is not harsh. I mean, it's close. I would say it's pretty close to being harsh, but it's not harsh, all right? And peanut gain and the transition to the treble itself is actually pretty smooth. So you're not going to get any spiciness or any harshness. For certain songs, maybe. For certain female vocals, maybe. But most of the time is fine. And the brightness of it is also not the brightest, but actually is quite forward. I would say that the brightness is, I would say, present. It doesn't have much sparkle to it, especially for female vocals and cymbal crashes and electric guitars or even trumpets. You won't feel that bitiness to it, but it's pretty okay in terms of acceptable. It's not fatiguing as well. The treble is not fatiguing. You won't feel any like pain or sharpness or any sibilance in your ear. It's a very, well, I wouldn't say very, but it's a smooth treble, right? It's a pretty smooth treble, and it actually rolls off pretty naturally, and that will give you a little bit of air, very natural air to the treble at the same time. No graininess, no distortion to the treble, no unnatural presence of the treble as well. So it's pretty natural in terms of the roll off of the treble, and it sounds natural. Okay, so I would say this is actually a pretty good IEM at the price of $70 in terms of sound. I'm pretty disappointed with the accessories, but in terms of the sound, I'm not disappointed at all. And when I compare it with the EA500, I would say, you know, this would sound less bass. This has got less bass as compared to the EA500. In terms of soundstage, this has got a better soundstage. It's, I think I would say, in terms of the size, it's not wider, it's not bigger, but I would say the overall spaciousness, it's much more spaced out than the EA500. Now, overall resolution, I would say this is, it's got a crisper sound. It's got more details as well. It can bring out more details of the song. The EA500, one thing I like is that it sounds more rounded. It sounds more musical. It sounds more fun. Okay, it sounds more fun. But, you know, to me, I may like it. You know, some people may not. Some people may just want to have a more clinical sound to the presentation of the music. You know, everyone's preference is different. So I would say in terms of the overall, I think both of them are quite comparable. They appeal to a different market, right? And I would say, yeah, it's almost the same price point. Both of them are single dynamic driver IEMs. And this looks much better, of course. You know, they've got nicer cable, it's got a nicer shell, and the overall presentation of this is much nicer than the EPZ TP Star N1. Okay, so that's a very quick comparison with the EA500, and you know, to conclude, I would give this a 3.5 stars out of 5 stars, and I would say this is actually pretty worth it for that price. Except for the accessory, I would change out this cable, I would change out the ear tips, but you know, for the sound, what's most memorable to me is actually the bass. The texture of the bass is really thick. It's like a thick sauce. In terms of the rumble, the mid bass is all right. It's not very memorable. And the treble is not fatiguing, and overall it's a pretty smooth treble. So that's my takeaway when I listen to this Star N1. And do I recommend it? Yeah, of course. 3.5 stars is my recommendation for this, and it's, you know, pretty reasonable for EDM music. No, when I listen to EDM on this, electronic music, trance, techno, it sounds really good on this because of the bass, right? It's not a bass hit type of bass, but it's got good texture. You got to listen to it to really feel that bass. It's got good presence as well, good physical presence. When I listen to it, it's got good physical bass as well. So yeah, I like the bass on this. It's not overwhelming. At the same time, it's got good texture and good thick sub bass. Yeah, and yeah, that's it for my review for this EPZ Tipsy Star N1. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So that's it for now for this review. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in my next review. Cheers.